Hello and welcome to this review of the Brazen Beauties historical romance book series by Sophie Barnes. I'm Olivia, your new favorite resource for book recommendations you can easily screenshot, and you're watching Random Olive Reads. First up, we have Mr. Dale and the Divorcee, which is book one of the series. Now, divorce is always a scandalous prospect in Regency times. In this case, Wilhelmina has been in a marriage of convenience with her best friend for decades and wants to release him from the marriage so that he can marry his mistress. In order to do that, they have to feign her own adultery and give cause for the divorce, making her the most scandalous woman in England. Now, Mr. James Dale is a widowed barrister with a strong sense of ethics. When he first meets Wilhelmina at a ball, he's instantly charmed until he learns that she's married and somewhat of an adulteress. Now he's disgusted with himself for being attracted to her and stays away from her as much as possible. 2 years later, when the divorce is finally settled, Wilhelmina and James encounter each other again when her daughter and his son are courting and eventually run off to elope. Both of the adults here want to stop the elopement, so they're off on a road trip together to find the kids. As they're traveling, they get to know each other better, of course, and James is questioning what he knows about women and Wilhelmina. And of course, Wilhelmina isn't able to tell James the truth of her divorce since the charges were basically fraudulent and she doesn't want to get into any legal trouble. It is nice to see them slowly start to trust each other after that time together, which of course is the beauty of the road trip. Next up is Mr. Greer and the governess. So, without any family or money, Olivia sets out for a housemaid position, but finds that it has already been filled. And the very nice housekeeper and butler decide to help her and set her up as the governess to the ward of the house. She's highly educated, but very sheltered due to her upbringing. Now, Grayson returns home when he hears the news that there's a new governess in the house, and he's baffled by his attraction to her. She's slowly working on her sister's list of hopes and dreams and finds ways to incorporate them into her experiences. It's a slow burn romance that's very sweet, aside from meddlesome neighbors, an ex mistress, and a mischievous brother somewhere along the way. And finally, we have Mr. West and the Widow, which is book three of the series. We have an emotionally damaged widow here with a scarred and emotionally damaged gentleman. Mr. West, Colin, is on his way home to his estate, but he is waylaid by a storm and seeks shelter at a nearby manor house. There, he meets Victoria, who has been widowed a year and floundering in a mess of debt with an unproductive piece of land. She's also really shy and skittish around him. He thinks it's because of his scarred appearance, but really she's just so attracted to him she doesn't know what to do with all of these like new emotions. It turns out that Victoria is the younger sister of Colin's friend who had died at war. Now he feels even more of a moral obligation to help her with her financial affairs. He invites her over to his estate to tutor her on land management and also brings his friends and their wives, which were acquired in the first two books, to help keep things proper. This one is a slow burn situation with both emotionally vulnerable characters interpreting the worst of each other's actions. But when they finally talk it out, it's a really nice connection to see between them. And then it's also nice to see Victoria ending up being stronger and more courageous than she expected. Overall thoughts, we have three very different tropes here with a little bit of overlapping time frame, but it is nice to see how supportive the male friends were with each other throughout the series, and it did tie up very nicely with the third lady being related to their fourth friend who died at war, which these three get together and drink and pay tribute to him once a year. So it is nice to see that all tied up very neatly. Overall, I really enjoyed reading this series, and I think you'll like it too. Thanks so much for watching this video. Links to all three books are in the description. Like and subscribe so you don't miss future videos, and you can follow me on Instagram at randomolive.